Looking at the results, the most recent period, you report comparable sales up 3.8%, but you express concern about the second half of the year. Why are you concerned?
Well, there's a fair amount of new taxes coming into play, business rates and apprenticeship levies and various other government taxes, and wages are going up a fair bit. So at the very start of the second half of the year, it's wise to strike a cautious tone. We don't want to get the stock market overexcited. What a terrible thing that would be. So we've done well, but just taking it slowly for the second half.
Yeah, we certainly don't tolerate overexcitement on this programme, Tim. I was reading a report in the industry publisher Morning Advertiser talked about how pubs face their toughest year in over a decade. Does that characterise your expectation? Are you expecting to face the toughest year in a decade?
Well, it's possibly hyperbole, but considering that we're in a rising economy over the last 7 or 8 years, there's a tremendous amount of restaurant companies in particular that are in trouble. The main sword of Damocles for the pub industry is that we pay far more taxes per pint or per meal than supermarkets. For some historical reason, the tax for supermarkets is a lot lower, and it's putting increasing pressure on pubs as the years go by and they're closing down. That's the big economic picture for pubs in the UK.
What can you do, Tim, to change that? I mean, is there someone you can lobby? Is there some campaign you can start? Because it doesn't seem necessarily justified that just because you're in a pub, you should pay more than you would if you were buying a beer in a supermarket.
I think one of the principles of taxation in a democracy is that it should be fair, and I agree with your analysis. You shouldn't pay more. In the end, I think, especially if the economy takes a downturn and a lot more pubs and restaurants start shutting, I think people will be forced to say we should have tax equality. What can you do? You can lobby government, you can speak to the press, you can try and make the point. And that's what I've been trying to do.
And what are you lobbying the government, Tim, in terms of Brexit? Of course, you've been a supporter of Brexit, we know. But what are you lobbying for at the moment? Are you happy with the way things are developing?
I'm lobbying for leaving without a deal unless it's on very good terms in March next year. The EU is a protectionist organisation. It charges large taxes on imports to the 93% of the world that's not in the EU. If we can get rid of those taxes, incomes and standard of living in the UK will rise. Also, we pay it £200 million a week. That can be allocated to the UK. So I think the EU's had an unusually good press around the world. It should be much more democratic. We want something like the American Constitution, which will protect us from plutocrats in Brussels.
Well, we know that Brexit means Brexit, Tim, so we'll see what that delivers. We talked recently to the Sainsbury's management team, and they were warning about if we get a hard Brexit, we'll end up with a food crisis in the United Kingdom, a food shortage specifically. Does that apply to you? Do you see that? It's
utter and complete tosh. If we go without a deal and Parliament can vote to eliminate food tariffs, and prices in the shops will go down. It's complete nonsense, and they haven't said that in any written form that's subject to any sort of attack.